I ate alone in my car. After graduation, until the principal knocked on my window. If you've ever felt alone during what should have been your proudest moment, this story might resonate with you. Before we begin, take a second to like this video and subscribe for more real stories about resilience, second chances, and unexpected connections. Now let me take you back to my graduation day, a day I thought would mark a beginning, but almost felt like the end. I never imagined I'd spend it eating a cold burger alone in my beat-up Honda Civic. Parked in the far corner of the school parking lot, I watched families laugh, cry, and take pictures through my fogged-up windshield. My cap and gown lay crumpled in the passenger seat, the tassel limp and forgotten. My diploma sat unopened in my lap. Everyone else had someone, parents, grandparents, friends. I had sent invitations to my dad in Arizona, my mom's rehab center in Oregon, and my brother who was too busy to bother. The responses? Silence. Excuses. A quiet resignation. I crossed that stage like everyone else, smiled for the camera, heard a few stray cheers, probably from teachers who knew my story. But in the crowd, no one stood for me. No one called my name. No one waited afterward. So, I slipped away, changed out of my gown in the bathroom, ducked out the side door, and drove through the nearest fast food joint. And now here I was. Fries getting cold, burger half-eaten, wondering if this milestone was always going to feel so hollow. Then, knock, knock. I nearly choked on my food. Standing at my window was Principal Harrison, still in full regalia, looking at me with an expression I couldn't place. I rolled down the window, expecting some empty line about how I should be inside celebrating. Instead, he asked, "Mind if I join you?" And before I could respond, he was already walking around to the passenger side. I shoved aside the clutter and mumbled an apology. "Seen worse," he said with a small smile, adjusting his robes awkwardly as he climbed in. "The teacher's lounge would shock you." We sat in silence for a moment, me holding a burger I no longer wanted, him staring out the windshield like he'd done this 100 times. "I noticed you weren't at the reception," he said. I shrugged. Wasn't really feeling it. "I get that," he nodded. "I hid in the library during my own graduation party. Last place anyone would look." I blinked. That didn't line up with the always composed, polished principal I'd come to know. "Why?" I asked. He exhaled. "My parents were fighting, loudly, about custody, right in the middle of the after-party. It kind of ruined the whole proud family moment." "That sucks," I said awkwardly. "It did," he admitted. "But eventually I realized that day wasn't about them. It was about what I'd achieved," I scoffed. "Well, today's not about anyone for me. No audience, no celebration dinner, no point." He turned to face me. "I saw your name on the graduate list, Ethan. I made sure to watch for you today." "Why?" I asked. I hadn't been a standout, not in the way principals usually notice, because 4 years ago your middle school counselor called me. She said you were at risk, missed too many days, unstable home, might not even make it to sophomore year. I swallowed hard. I remembered that time. Mom's addiction, dad disappearing, couch surfing, being told I was too much responsibility. "Yeah, well," I muttered. "Spite's a strong motivator," he chuckled. "Indeed it is. But it takes more than spite to survive what you did. To graduate with a 3.8 GPA while working night shifts at a warehouse. That's not ordinary. That's resilience." I looked away, uncomfortable. I hated being reminded of how hard it had been. "You think you were alone?" he continued. "But you weren't. Miss Reeves stayed late every Tuesday to help with calculus. Coach Phillips let you use the gym showers when your water got shut off. The cafeteria staff always gave you extra portions. And I seem to recall someone letting you nap in the teacher's lounge that week you were between places." My face flushed. I hadn't realized anyone knew about that. "You weren't alone, Ethan. You just didn't have a conventional support system." I stared at my hands, suddenly unsure of everything I'd been feeling. I'd been so focused on what I didn't have. Parents in the crowd, photos with family. I hadn't noticed what I did. Principal Harrison reached into his robe and handed me an envelope. This was supposed to be a surprise at the reception. But since you're here... Inside was a card, signed by nearly every teacher and staff member, filled with notes of pride, encouragement, belief. Paper-clipped to the card was a check. "We heard about your partial scholarship," he said. "This should help with books your first semester." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My voice cracked, just trying to say, "Thank you." "You don't have to say anything," he said gently. "Just promise you'll make it count." He glanced at his watch and opened the car door. Before stepping out, he paused. "Staff's heading to Donovan's Bistro in about an hour. Just a tradition after graduation. Casual. If you feel like stopping by, I think they'd love to see you." And just like that, he walked back toward the gym. I sat there long after he left, holding that card like it was something sacred, thinking about what he said, about who shows up in your life, not just who doesn't. As the parking lot emptied, for once I didn't feel jealous of the other graduates. I found myself wondering what their stories were. How many of them had struggles no one saw? I placed the card gently in my glove compartment, checked the time. I pulled out my phone and looked up the address to Donovan's. It wasn't far. No pressure, just an option. As I drove, I caught sight of my graduation cap in the back seat. I reached for it, placing it beside me. A quiet reminder. You made it. When I pulled into the restaurant lot, I almost turned around 3 times. But then I saw Ms. Reeves laughing with Coach Phillips, Miss Coleman holding the door open. These people had seen me at my lowest, and they were still here, still making space. I took a breath, grabbed my cap, and stepped out of the car. Principal Harrison spotted me first. He gave a subtle nod. No fuss, just acknowledgement. Ms. Reeves, though, she lit up. "Ethan, you made it." As the others turned to greet me, I felt something shift, a weight lifting, a knot loosening. I hadn't had the traditional graduation day. No family dinner, no proud parents in the audience. But what I had was maybe even more valuable. A chosen family. People who saw my worth even when I couldn't. People who showed up. Sometimes life doesn't give us the celebration we expect. Sometimes we eat alone in our cars. But if we're lucky, someone knocks on the window and reminds us we're not as alone as we think. And sometimes, that's what makes all the difference. If this story touched you, like and subscribe. You never know whose window you might knock on today, or who might be knocking on yours.